Hey everybody, today we've got the updated best case scenario for the Democrats in the upcoming Senate elections. It's been a couple of months. This is going to be as of mid-July. Now, of course, everything is completely up in the air over the past few days and the past few weeks. There's so many question marks surrounding this election, but this is going to be pretty much some sort of a blue wave type of environment, but it's also just going to be the best reasonable case scenario. In this, Biden's issues are going to get better, but he's not going to all of a sudden turn into Superman. The negative sentiment around inflation and immigration, those are going to get a lot better for him in this scenario. And it's also assumed that Trump is going to sink, but it's not going to be to an unreasonable extent. And of course, Republicans need just one seat for a 50-50 tie. The controlling party would then be whoever wins the White House. Again, it's crazy times in politics, but let's try to go through this map. And we'll start with the obvious safe states. These are expected to be over a 10-point margin. First, for the Democrats, I don't think even on a regular night that there's any debate that they would get Hawaii, Washington, California. Now we've got New Mexico and Minnesota. And then over on the East Coast, we've got Maine and Vermont. Those are technically independents, Angus King and Bernie Sanders, but they caucus with the Democrats, so we're going to put them in blue. Then we've got New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland with Larry Hogan. That's easily going to be over 10. And finally, in Virginia, Tim Kaine would defeat Hung Kao by at least 10 points. I don't think there's anything too controversial there. In a normal environment, a couple of those might be likely, but in this, they're going to get bumped up to safe. Now let's take a look at the safe states for the Republicans. So even on a pretty good night for the Democrats, the Republicans are still going to get Utah, Wyoming, North Dakota. Then we've got Mississippi, Tennessee, and West Virginia. And we've got one more that's going to be in Nebraska. That's going to be the special election with Pete Ricketts, not the regular election. Now you can make a case that on some kind of a landslide night for the Democrats that Tennessee would get down under 10. That's going to be Marsha Blackburn, the Republican, probably against Gloria Johnson, the Democrat. But in the blue wave of 18, former Governor Phil Bredesen, even he was unable to get it down under 10. And then in West Virginia, this is going to be a flip and a pickup for the Republicans. This is the Joe Manchin seat. It's still likely that even on a great night for the Democrats, this deep red state is going to go red for Jim Justice. Now we could go down to the likely states, and these are going to be between a 5 and a 10-point margin. For the Democrats, we'll start in the East in Pennsylvania. This is incumbent Bob Casey going for term number 4. I have previously had this as safe on a best case scenario for the Dems, but given his lack of dominance in the polling over the past couple of months, I did decide to take this down to about 9 to 9.5 points for Casey. It's close to 10. It could still hit it on a great night, but at this point, I think it's just a little bit more reasonable that David McCormick, his Republican opponent, keeps Casey under 10 here. Then we've got the other Rust Belt states. We've got Michigan and Wisconsin. Michigan is an open seat. Wisconsin has an incumbent Democrat. In this, Alyssa Slotkin in Michigan is going to get it by at least 5 points over Mike Rogers. And in Wisconsin, Tammy Baldwin is going to get it close to 10 points, but it's going to be high single digits against expected Republican nominee Eric Hovde. Then we could go into the Southwest. We've got Nevada and Arizona. Both of these, I think, are borderline lean likely. I would say about 5 to 6 point margins. Jackie Rosen is the incumbent in Nevada. She's going to face Sam Brown, and the polling there has kind of been all over the place for the Senate. But in this scenario, Rosen is going to get the easy win, and I think it would get just over 5. In Arizona, that's going to be an open seat. It's likely to be Ruben Gallego against Kari Lake. The primary is at the end of this month. Gallego is not hitting 50% in the polling, but he does generally lead all the polls. Kari Lake is a polarizing figure. With Trump on the ballot, it's going to be kind of hard to gauge the turnout, but again, in this, Gallego is going to get it. I think it'd be about 5 to 6 points. Now we've got the likely states for the Republicans. First, we've got Nebraska, and this has incumbent Republican Deb Fischer. She's likely to go up against an independent candidate, Dan Osborne, who's going to have the backing of the Democratic Party. I think that'll lead to it being a closer margin for Fischer than if she were running against a Democrat. There was an internal poll from the Osborne campaign late last year that did show him with a slight lead. I usually think independent candidates tend to fizzle out over time. Doesn't mean it's going to happen here, but I do think if everything falls into place, Fischer could get her margin down under 10, so that means this rating is going to be likely. Then next door, we've got Missouri, and this is going to be incumbent Republican Josh Hawley taking on likely challenger Lucas Kunce, who ran just 2 years ago. He came up just short for the nomination in the primary, and I could see him having some appeal in this state. However, Missouri has moved just too far to the right. Hawley is the incumbent, and it's going to be an uphill climb for Kunce. So this is going to get under 10. I don't think it would get under 5. Of Of course, things could change, but for right now, the rating is going to be likely. Then we've got Indiana. This is going to be an open seat. It's going to be Jim Banks for the Republicans. Democrats don't have a super strong bench here, but they have Valerie McRae as their nominee. Given it's an open seat, we've got to have a little bit more precaution. In a blue wave, it's going to get under 10 and go likely. Now we've got 4 states left. First, the lean states. These are going to be under 5 points, but more than 1 point. Montana and Ohio are similar situations. They both have 3-term Democratic incumbents running for a 4th term in otherwise red states. It's going to be an uphill climb for them for sure, but they've been tested before, potentially in favorable environments. However, without them on the ballot, they're pretty much instant flips. So with them on the ballot, it's not going to be a cakewalk for the GOP. I get that Trump is going to be on the ballot, and it's going to be almost unimaginable for the Democrats to run 10, 15 or more points ahead of Biden. But they do have a lot more of a local appeal in those states than any other Democrat. It's close right now, but in this, the Democrats are going to hold both of these seats by lean margins. Finally, we've got 2 states left, Texas and Florida. Texas is Ted Cruz against Colin Allred. Florida is Rick Scott against likely nominee Debbie Mucarsel-Powell. They're both going to be the strong favorites, but it's not completely impossible they go down. In this, I think it would get very competitive, but as of right now, it looks like even on a great night for the Democrats, these are still going to narrowly stay with the Republicans. So I do have both of them going as till red. So I do think those states are close, but it's just a little bit more reasonable that the Republicans are able to hang on. So the final map comes out to 50 Democrats and 50 Republicans. Republicans get 1 easy flip and pickup in West Virginia. Democrats don't have a lot of territory to expand to on here, but they do get pretty close in Texas and Florida. Outside of that, there's really nothing unless you're looking at a dark horse flip in Nebraska or Missouri. There's still a few months to go. We've still got some primaries left. This is not set in stone. There's easily going to be some changes. We've already seen Senate Democrats running well ahead of Joe Biden at the top of the ticket in the polling. This map would pretty much confirm that. So we'll be taking a look at the best case scenario for the Republicans in the future, probably tomorrow. But for now, I think this is the reasonable top of the mountain for the Democrats in the Senate. So let me know in the comments, what do you think about this scenario? Do you agree with this map, or do you think no, Democrats would flip Texas and Florida, maybe even pick off another state? Or do you think even in a best case scenario, they won't be able to flip a place like Montana? Let me know what you think down below on your way out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join if you'd like to help support the channel. Hit the bell for notifications. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.